This is the Ricochet Report. The Ricochet Report.
Welcome to the Ricochet Report, the show that talks everything and anything firearms. I'm your host, Brad. And on today's episode, we have a great guest. His name is Eljay. He's a good friend of mine. He is a veteran, a SWAT officer, and he's also a firearms instructor who's got his own company. So we're here to talk about a lot of good stuff. So let's get right into it. Eljay, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, brother? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you here. Got an awesome career. I can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to talk about all the things, projects you have coming up. So we'll get right into it. You're a law enforcement officer. How long have you been working in law enforcement?
Right around 15 years. Yeah, 15 plus years.
That's awesome. So 15 years in law enforcement and spending some of that on the teams. What's it like being on a team, a busy team?
It's pretty nice, man. I can't complain at all. You got your good days, you got your bad days, but the good days outweigh the bad days. You got days where you're really, really fortunate, especially the workload that we have in the area. We're busy, and that's experience, that's reps that we're getting constantly, and testing techniques that we've been taught and validating certain things is kind of pretty cool being on a full-time team, and also working with a group of dudes that tried out to be there and are dedicated, and a small group of guys too.
That's awesome. So what is your role with the team exactly?
I'm one of the senior guys on my team specifically. So I help train one of the snipers. I dabble with explosive breaching, but not enough to really do anything with it. I've gone to the courses, but if our breachers need help, building charges, I'll help them out with that. And then with the training aspect, run some of the training and kind of put guys through certain things and help them prepare for schools that are coming up, like our sniper school and some SWAT schools that should be coming up in the near future. That's
awesome. And you did have some prior experience with the military too. You were in the National Guard, that's correct?
Yep. Did a few years there playing soldier. Not a bad experience. It got me started. It got me where I was. Definitely wanted to use that to kind of get in the military. I knew I wanted to join the military and had some plans, but it didn't really happen the way I wanted to. But I ended up in a good spot. Met my wife in high school, got married, had kids, and it kept me stateside. So, and then with the guard aspect, I would have never became a cop if I didn't stay reserved.
That's awesome. So that actually helped mold your career. What was your MOS? What was your job when you were in the military?
So I started off as 11 Charlie with the mortar section, and then ended up in our sniper section, leaving there as a TL.
That's really cool. And you have a couple of deployments under your belt.
Yep, I'd say 1.5.
1.5.
Afghanistan 04, 05. That was a lot of fun. And then I did a short pump in Kuwait, doing some stuff. But that wasn't really nothing to write home about.
Understood. It's a lot more than a lot of people can say they did. So
I got paid to hang out on a naval base in Kuwait, eating good food, doing some plainclothes PSD stuff, and working out. Wasn't a bad gig.
Stuff. Absolutely. So you got a lot of training from both the military and law enforcement. You're constantly training with your law enforcement career. That's a great thing about being about a proactive department. When you get to be in a proactive department, they want you to keep your training up to par, versus some of these other agencies that are out there that aren't offering such great accommodations as yours. So where had these trainings taken you? Where have you gotten to go? What are some of the top schools that you'd say you've had the privilege of being a part of?
So there's a lot. There's a lot. And the one that really stands out for me was Darcy, or Direct Action Resource Center down north of Little Rock. That was one of many courses that I attended that have validated techniques that were taught. And it's one of those things where you got to experience it for yourself. You can't talk to somebody about it, and someone can't really bring it back to your agency and teach you there. You got to go to the island, and you got to experience 110 plus hours. Rich has a way of teaching you, showing you through pain, a little bit of sleep deprivation. He likes to teach. He's got a different way of teaching, and it's a way that sticks. And it's definitely something that I I'd like to emulate as much as I can, because he just got a way of talking to dudes and putting out information, and it's valid information, up to date information. It's not stuff that he did back in the beginning of GWAT. It's stuff that he's currently updating, current tactics, techniques, and procedures that he's constantly trying to improve day in and day out. But with Darcy, then there's always other courses I've been to. Some high angle sniper stuff on the West Coast, going to Nevada with Mark. He's with formerly known as International Mountain Survival, but he's doing some other cool stuff now. Did some stadium shoots in California with TacFlow. Working with the Tomahawk Group, doing some CQB stuff is pretty fun. Some low profile insertions into non-permissive environments with some of the team guys there. It was pretty awesome. Good experience, kind of going through, learning kind of what it means and what you have to do to, especially on the sniper side, how to blend into your environment. They took what stuff that we've known and we were taught in our basic sniper course, and they improved it. Like, hey, if a guy is truly looking for you, peering through your window, how do you avoid detection? And it's little stuff that made just my ruck size in general go from being an enormous tick to a small, maybe 24-hour rucksack that I can still deploy and still be kind of mobile and still do everything I need to do as a sniper.
So keeping it effective with a lot less than what you thought you needed.
Yep.
Making do with what you got. That's really, really cool. So, and it's pretty cool. You talked about a stadium shoot, and I think a lot of people think that's strictly something you see in movies. You see the snipers on a team and they're up at the top of the stadium and they're shooting down towards the field. And so that's a real thing. That's a real training exercise.
Yep. They expect us to do it in real world situations. And so, we got to be able to do it in training. And it's one of those things where we're taking that low percentage shot. And if you haven't really done it under pressure, how are you expected to perform when lives are truly on the line?
Sure.
But yeah, TacFlow, man, that's my go-to spot for that one. Mark and his boys, they've got a good program. And it's been validated as well too. And they just don't let anybody shoot. You've got to apply, you've got to go there, and you got to show them you're qualified to make those low percentage shots within a stadium, because it's also their butts on the line too. Because if you damage any of the property in the stadium, that whole program shut down, and no one can ever teach, or no one can ever use that stadium again for training.
Wow.
How
much more difficult is it? Because I think a lot of people listening, maybe they're just the average marksman. You go to the range for fun. Maybe they're a hunter and they're used to even a little bit of an incline or a decline. But how much more difficult is it at such a serious degree?
The incline isn't the hard part. I mean, that's stuff that, especially if you've got a LERF or a laser rangefinder and a Kestrel, all that it does all the math for you. It's getting off your belly and getting into those unconventional shooting positions, utilizing your bag a lot, other support systems, being able to rapidly deploy from point A to point B and take that shot at a given yard. That's a hard part. It's not the angles and whatnot, because that's stuff that anyone can do that. But it's the pressure, and then it's the ability to build a good shooting position, in different situations.
That is very cool. So you've done something very cool. You've taken all this training you've received and you've decided to go ahead and start your own company. So
Yep.
What the name of your company, Eagle Head Training Group? How'd you come up with that name?
Man, so my wife is part of the company as well too. And so she does a lot of the medical admin stuff for, hospitals, and she does for babysitters and small organizations. And we were trying to pick a name that wouldn't scare those type of people away, but still sound professional enough. So I couldn't pick triple daggers, 37,
right.
whatever it is.
Avoid the word tactical.
Yeah. Yep. Tactical
Sure.
Black Industries, whatever. So I on a road or to work, I frequently drive on this road. And one day I was just sitting there and I saw the sign, like Eagle Head. That sounds not bad. Sounds pretty patriotic and, pretty professional. And if if you read it, they may be a tactical company, whatever. But that's how it found. I mean, it's nothing really cool, nothing really profound, man. It definitely wasn't a call sign in the military or anything, but it was just a name that we had picked to kind of, I guess, be PC, but also, the Eagle Head represents a lot. It represents obviously the greatest nation, in the world, United
Absolutely.
States. But strength and all that jazz, and it also looks pretty cool, especially when you draw it up.
Yeah, who does do you do your own logo work? Who does the logo design?
I do. I've got a lot of hobbies, and one of them is doodling on the iPad.
Yeah, I've seen some of your in progress stuff. I know you sent me a couple here and there.
Yeah.
They always look pretty cool. So I thought it was you behind it, but I wasn't sure. So you have some classes coming up with Eagle Head Training Group, and they're very unique. They're not something that I've necessarily heard of other companies doing. I think every company kind of offers their own version of a carbine class or a pistol class, and I'm sure you have those too. But you have some very unique ones that I'd love to talk about. You have one specifically called SRAT. What does SRAT stand for?
Solo Response to Active Threats. It's actually a series of courses that we're trying to put on in the future, dealing with the solo response, and then a two-man response for guys that are with a significant other or with a partner that they're walking around and they're both concealed carriers, or the patrol officers riding the same car. And then you have like a tactical response where it's the same idea as a two-man response, but for tactical officers that are riding two-man. Some agencies actually have the officers riding or teams out on the road supplementing patrol and whatnot, and if they get a call, they can self-deploy, and this is how you would handle a active threat or active shooter with just a two-man team rapidly responding from your vehicle, finding the bad guy, saving the good guys, and treating and evacuating the wounded. So it's a little mixture of everything. So you get a taste. And we're trying to put it on. We're definitely doing a 2-day course, but if we can get the venue and if we get the signups, trying to do a 3-day course where we're covering vehicle stuff, open air movements, and obviously CQB portion, solo and two-man, and then your TECC, stop the bleed, medical care, all in one package. So kind of a baseline of how do I respond once I get the call for active shooter. I get to a spot, it's either with myself or a partner, and we got to go find and kill the bad guy. How do we do it? And here's a couple of ways that we've kind of figured out and tried and tested and whatnot.
So you're talking about 2, possibly 3-day class. When and where can people join this class if that's something they're interested in doing?
Like the website?
No, I mean the actual location where it's going to be going on.
So we are working a couple locations in Jersey, RTSP Randolph, and South Jersey Shooting Club.
Wow. So May 1st, right around the corner, you got Solo Response coming up. Who's coming out for that course?
Yeah. So I am bringing a teammate of mine, good dude, young guy, he's hungry. He's gone through a lot of training, but he's helping me teach a class. He's actually running most of the internal stuff. He's cutting his teeth on teaching, but yeah, good dude, man. He's one of my sniper buddies. He's such a good dude. His first sniper match that we went to, he ended up taking first place, and beating myself and another senior dude out. But yeah, he's coming out. He's got a wealth of knowledge. He got numbers and statistics. He's just a good dude in general, and he does a lot. He's just like me, but not as good looking.
That's hard to beat the good looking part, but no, that's cool. That's really cool. So between the two of you, got a wealth of knowledge, guys. If you're listening to this episode, May 1st, make sure to go sign up. You don't want to miss this course. Solo Response on Eagle Head Training Group. We're going to have 2 real great instructors out there. And
then also with Double Eagle Outdoors in Pennsylvania, Sam and I are going to try to work together. I don't know, Sam?
No, I don't know Sam.
He was actually a student at one of my courses. We talked, and Sam Callahan, but he is competitive shooter, great dude, but we're trying to work something out, working some joint courses up that way. We're actually working on, not to move on to something else, but work on a NVG operator course in a few months too. So, but he's got a pretty awesome location up in the Poconos. That is a mansion. He's got a couple of shooting bays. I think he's got one that's 180.
That's the one you're talking about, the Double Eagle location?
Yep, Double Eagle. Yep.
It's funny you say that. I just met with someone last night I bought a couple of toys from, and he just telling me about Double Eagle. He said he likes to go out there. They have a lot of bays out there, and they're a good location.
Yep, it seems like it just by the pictures and whatnot, and it seems like a pretty good training spot. So
awesome. And tell me about this NVG operator course.
So it's a night vision, a basic night vision course where we're going to kind of cover and talk about just the equipment and what are the pros and cons of running night vision. What are some of the stuff you can and can't do. And then it's going to be a combination of live fire and simulations. The live fire on the range to be able to handle the firearm, to get used to being able to, manipulate the weapon system, the switchology, and everything we teach on that range is going to apply to stuff that happens inside the house. So it's not just static two-way range or static one-way range shooting. You're going to be moving and shooting from cover, reloading under night vision, transitioning under night vision to see what the difference between guys that are running RDSs on their handguns and iron sights and stuff that you can do to kind of make the situation better. Especially because shooting iron sights under night vision kind of sucks, if you don't do it correctly. And there's some ways that we were taught, a few years ago that it definitely makes it harder. And there are some other ways that you can do it that makes it a lot easier to shoot with iron sights.
Night vision is something I've been wanting to get to for a while. I know I've spoken to you in the past, asking some questions about nods. I owned a PVS 14 for about 2 weeks, and then I sold it. Came across a little bit of money, bought it, and then needed some money and sold it. So I think it's one of those things, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of worth spending the money on it and buy once, cry once, because with some of these off-brand models, not sure what's in the tube, or just getting something that isn't going to do the job properly.
Yep. And I'm one of, so I haven't had to buy my own set of nods yet. I'm using what I've got from work, but when I do, I'm definitely not buying it from Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. Cool Guy Gear, Gear Bazaar, all on Facebook and whatnot. I don't know what type of tubes I'm getting. I don't know how many hours. If you're going to buy something like that, especially dual tubes, white phosphor or green phosphor, doesn't matter. You're looking to spend anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000 on a set. And so you want to buy the warranty, and you want to make sure the tubes are good, that there aren't any, what's the word I'm looking for?
Blemishes
within the tube. And then that warranty, man, is crucial. That's something like, all right, if I do find something wrong with it, I'm actually able to hit up, company and say, hey, this is the problem. What am I within the window? Companies like Night Vision Depot, TNVC, and there's another one, GP Armory. The dudes over at Holistic Solutions Group, they kind of pointed me in their direction, but I'm definitely gonna check them out. But yeah, GP Armory on Instagram.
Yeah, you mentioned Holistic Solutions Group, and I'm actually hoping to get someone on the show from that company. They've been pretty active with the new Instagram page for this podcast. So I look forward to speaking to those guys soon.
I might know a guy.
In touch. Yeah,
I might know a guy.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Now going back to SRAT real quick, something that I find very interesting is the mentality of behind SRAT is specifically solo response.
Yep.
And when I went through a counter narcotics and terrorism program a few years ago, it was very big on what seemed like, even at the time, to be old school response of, we were like teams of 8. Like it was like that typical, blue blob doing the hut.
Right. Yeah.
Moving on to something. And I couldn't believe that at that point in time, we were still doing this kind of response. Mm-hmm. When did the idea of solo response become so important?
I don't know when, I guess on a national level, when that become a big thing, but one big event that kind of just pushed me towards this was it the Parkland active shooter incident where
Sure.
the police officer, the school resource officer was waiting outside while everything was going on inside. I mean, the one dude could have made a difference. You know, he had the gun, he had the training, he had the armor, you know, and my mentality behind it is if I go inside this building, I'm better trained, I've got a better mindset, I've got a gun on my own and armor, and the dude may be shooting at me, but that means he's not shooting at innocent people, right? I'm actually able to fight back.
Children on top of that too.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Especially
that
being a
one.
father. Yeah.
Yeah, I could only imagine how that feels being a father. That one hits close to home for me because my sister actually lives in Parkland and her kids were at the school next door. So
Yeah.
they didn't even know what was going on. All they're hearing is everything's going on lockdown. And, you know, so
Yep.
that was certainly a scary day for, you know, even us here in New York when we hear that going on in the news and we don't know what's going on over there. So that was a big one that influenced this kind of solo response. So the importance of getting through the door, getting good guys with guns through the door, finding
Yep.
that threat and neutralizing it is kind of the goal here. So it's more personal tactics and the ability to kind of have some sort of universal language where everyone kind of is on the same page. So if I show up and I'm from a different department, I can kind of just blend right in with the guy that may be coming in, or I might be going solo and midway just work together.
Yeah, CQB is kind of weird, man. As long as you follow the 3 principles, you know, speed, surprise, balance of action, other certain SOPs that apply, you know, if I go into a room as number 1 man, number 2 man goes the opposite direction, where solo response, it gets kind of janky. You know, there's a lot of deconfliction, right? You know, you're going in, especially if you're going in playing close officer, you know, you got to have ways to deconflict, whether it be, you know, 3D cop shop. You know, they make a high vis badge holder. You know, you can slide it in your pants pocket, and it's low profile, super slim, and you can pull that out if you have to. Visiblue, they're beanies, man. I carry a beanie. I carry one in my gym bag, and I carry one in with my rifle that may or may not be in my truck sometimes. But you know, deconfliction is huge, especially when it comes to these major intersections. The last thing you want to do is get shot by a good guy or shoot a good guy, right?
Yeah, I can imagine how that would certainly change what you thought was going to happen that day. You got involved off duty per se, or plain clothes in an incident, and the ability to identify yourself being so important, like you just said. And that was kind of a fear of mine. And I actually purchased one of those Visiblue beanies myself, and I keep that in my truck because I'm pretty much with my truck everywhere I go. If I'm not in my truck, I'm in uniform in the RMP. So that made a lot of sense, because something I thought about is if I had to get involved in something off duty on the side of the road, whether it directly involved me or someone else that I was jumping in on, I would hate for a brand new guy right out the academy who's scared shitless to show up, see me with my beard, and maybe I don't look like what he's expecting a cop to look like. And especially depending on the angle he's coming at me from the backside. And I just don't want to take a round into the back or, anywhere else because he couldn't identify who I was and give me the proper time to identify myself.
And it's happened, and it's happened to our agency, and it was a sad day. I remember that day, and it's just something you want to prevent. And it wasn't a rookie cop, both, it was just the combination of things that happened. It was a perfect storm, and it ended up tragically. But it's just one of the things you want to remember, and you want to learn from them so that doesn't happen again. And you just want to prevent it.
Sure. So is there a portion of the solo response class that actually goes over ways to identify who you are?
Yeah, we talk about the deconfliction piece, and we talk about what should you have on you, what you should do once the guy's with in uniform, what you should be doing, even if you're an off-duty cop. They don't know that, especially if you're visiting from out of town. They don't know who you are. At this point, you're everybody else, and you got to comply. You got to comply because you got to think about it. Everyone's coming in 100 miles an hour. Senior guy, junior guy, doesn't matter. Don't make it so hard for that deconfliction process to happen. You got certain things that has to happen, especially if you're working solo. You've got to be paying attention to everything. If you start seeing lights down the hallway, especially multiple lights or people, moving and using the same lingo as you. You got to read the room and start putting yourself in a position where like, all right, I don't want to push it, without going too much into it, but I want to put myself in a position where I can see them and I can deconflict prior to them seeing me and whatnot. Put yourself in a position where you're not the first thing they see as soon as they break the corner. Maybe throw a chem light out there, maybe throw even your badge on the ground, something to distract them, coming around the corner, just so that it slows them down a bit enough the way you're making your near far recognition, your common, blue, 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 eagle, 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 hey, F you, who this, that type of deal,
Sure.
simple stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely, that's inherently it's pretty dangerous going in by yourself, no support. And especially again, if you're that one, scenario where I'm not an officer with an agency, I don't know anybody, or I'm a narcotics officer that, I've been off the road for 15 plus years and nobody knows who I am. And, I'm here, and I'm actually able to do some good, but it's good with limits.
Yeah, I can absolutely understand that. I'm going to avoid saying the name of the hotel I was staying at, but I was staying at a hotel and an alarm went off. And at first I thought it was a fire alarm. And it ended up, what was coming over the loudspeaker in the hotel was actually saying, remain in your rooms, lock the doors, which made me think immediately it's the opposite of they want you to stand because there probably is an active shooter or some sort of threat. And at that point,
or a naked guy in PCP.
Right. Which actually I would just get out the oil and have a good time. But my thought process was immediately now, instead of keeping my firearm in my room where, I was leaving it while I was enjoying the amenities. Now it was kind of like, that's my only tool I have if something is going down and I'm already in the building and they don't have police on scene here. And I was traveling at the time. So I didn't take my VisiBlue hat and I didn't take, all I had was my shield, but it was in a wallet. It wasn't even on a chain where I could display it. So that was a very awkward scenario in the sense of now I have to think about that this really has to come with me everywhere. And that mentality isn't enough. The actual equipment has to come with you everywhere. So things like 3D Cop Shop and VisiBlue, they're such small, minuscule items that play such a big role that you can't make the excuse and say, this is too much to carry. It's not. It's something that's going to save your life, possibly save other people's lives. And it takes up a pocket, tops.
Yeah, so I'm actually able to slide my VisiBlue, or not VisiBlue, but my 3D Cop Shop badge holder in like a card holder. Like it's slim. And I sewed like a little, like, I don't know what I call it, like a nylon, elastic nylon wallet that with a sleeve in it, I can hide the badge holder in there. But, it's got my cards and everything in there. And I'm able to pull it out, throw it on, and attached to it, I have, obviously the badge, but also my ID in a little clear case. So that, if they do need to do a little more investigation, like they're able to say, hey, yeah, he's so-and-so with so-and-so agency.
Right. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about there. Another product, I'm curious what your thoughts are on it. Condition Gray. It's a company we're both pretty familiar with, and I'm hoping to get Joe on a podcast in the future. They make a product also for identifying law enforcement officers, both on and off duty. It's a high reflective product. You familiar with the product I'm referring to?
Yeah, it's got the chest and the rear panel.
Chest and rear placard that kind of it bungees up into a tight little package, and you can it packs small, plays big kind of deal. That could be a useful tool as well.
Absolutely. And that's one of those things where like you think outside the box too. Like, all right, if you're holed up in a room somewhere, you slide that placard outside the door and you say, hey, I got blue inside, whatever it may be. You can mark your CCPs that way, or your casualty collection points.
That's true.
There's something to attract like EMT or medical guys there. It's not just something you can wear.
There's something that's incredible about, the guys that do this job, their mindset, the way they're able to take something for what it was designed for and totally use it for something else. Like you just said, how you can use it instead of identifying yourself, using it as a marker to identify other location.
Yeah.
And that's pretty common. I see that with one of Joe's products also, his sling catch retainer has been used
Yep.
for a number of things also. It's been used to hold a tourniquet to a holster. It's been used for cable management or, antenna management on comms. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
I got
innovative
I got
stuff.
I got one of their OG, SRCs,
The
and
thin
I
one.
use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't tell Joe, but it's still marked demo on it. So, but I use that on my battery bank, and I use it to secure the cables.
There you
In
go.
it, and TSA loves it because it looks like, if a bomb maker were to go through a TSA, how would they package their, their deck cord, and because the battery bank's the size of an iPhone, and then if you can imagine it, the two iPhone cables are wrapped around like the front face of it and secured with that sling retainer catch. And
Oh
so
man.
going through the X-ray, that I've got to be wondering, what they're thinking. But luckily, I'm not a smart dude, but I'll stick my badge next to my
Right next to
phone,
it.
and yep. And so they should be able to see it.
So any alarm they may have from that
Yeah,
is followed by a shield that says,
yep,
I'm one of the good guys. Yeah, it's
yep.
probably a smart idea. Now, talking about products, you also pretty talented behind a sewing machine. I run one of your straps on my holster. How'd you
Oh,
come up with that leg
that
strap?
sta- that stabilizing strap, man.
Yeah.
So I never really used to run a strap on my holster until one day we were doing sprints at our range, and my gun or my holster was just slapping against the side of my leg, and I didn't like how thick the Safariland webbing was the one that came with the old school drop legs.
Right.
I didn't like how thick that was, and I didn't like how it didn't stay in place. And so, I was thinking of just, options on ways to secure, or low profile ways of securing a holster. And I went home that day, grabbed up some scrap nylon webbing, and got to work on my sewing machine. And that's how I came up with it.
It's an ingenious product the way you designed it. It's thin enough where it's comfortable. You don't feel it the entire time, but it's
Yep.
not too thin where you feel like it's digging into you. It's not fully elastic. It just has a small portion of it, so it can fit snugly. Versus
Yeah.
the Safariland is fully elastic, which is why you see either of two things when you see guys rocking those drop legs, if they still do. And it's either so loose that it's swinging around like a cowboy action,
Yeah.
or it's so tight that it's cutting off circulation and uncomfortable. So I think what you did there was very, very smart.
Yeah. And the thing I like about the stabilizer strap, it works with the Safariland UBLs and the True North adapters too, because I'm running a True North plate on my duty rig.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's low profile enough. I know a couple guys that are on patrol. They wear it in their uniform, and no one has said anything.
Right. So they're not getting in trouble for going against SOPs or anything like that.
Yep. And then I labeled it as a stabilizing strap and not a leg strap. That way they, when they say it's, oh no, it's not a leg strap, it's a stabilizing strap. Yeah. Stabilizing strap.
That's smart.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine that's on the border, and he got a little bit of kind of that side-eyed look from his command staff, and he was just like, "Oh, it's a stabilizing strap." Yeah, it's nowhere it says in our SOPs you can't wear a stabilizing strap.
That's a very smart idea. Now, something I want to talk about here is fitness. If you follow Eagle Head Training Group, you'll see regularly on the story you're posting workouts that you're doing, and they integrate the manipulation of a firearm within it sometimes, not always. But your exercises are very oriented towards functional use.
Mm-hmm.
Did you pick up fitness, the importance of fitness from your career, or was that something you always into at a younger age?
Dude, when I was younger, I was kind of a chunky kid. I was not like fat, but I was definitely one of those kids that wore a t-shirt to the pool. And it just one day I was like, no, I need to work out. And so I remember, in my parents' apartment, I had a PVC pipe and like a couple bottles of water, and I tied it off on the end and started doing like bench stuff. Even though bench press is like my worst. Like I'm still doing 135 pounds, and that's my max. That's my PR on the bench press. But anyways, that's one of those things where I got into it and then started playing sports and then got into wrestling. And, that kind of pushed me more into that I don't know, dare I say, called, functional fitness, but, not CrossFit because I'm a man. But,
Actually, my sister
yeah.
would be very upset by that statement.
I apologize, kind of.
No,
But
no, it's okay. She doesn't listen to this podcast.
yeah. But no, I mean, I like CrossFit. I do it, and even though I'm not very good at it, it's one of those things where it serves a purpose. And it's one of those things, that's not the only thing I do. I do other stuff. Obviously I do, all the naked muscle stuff, bis and tris, chest days, baby, leg days. But, definitely the functional fitness, being able to, I don't have to, walk 1,000 meters to the objective, but I'd at least be able to sprint from the raid van to wherever I need to go, point B, and still do work while, maintaining, some sort of, I guess, positive posture, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
Still be able to do the job without, breathing heavily. Now, there are times where I am kind of walking up the stairs and I get, short-winded, but that's during bulking season.
So it's from a practical standpoint, it's got to benefit your career as well as your regular life. It's kind of killing two birds with one stone. You want to do the job effectively. You got to take care of yourself when you're not at the job.
Yep. And it's a good stress reliever. There's nothing like going in the gym and kind of zoning out and just kind of get your workout in.
And would you say that fitness goes hand in hand with the ability to complete the mission, carry a firearm, have that mentality?
Yep, absolutely. That's one of those things where you ask anybody, fitness definitely is one of those pillars that everyone needs to be good at. If you can't make it to point B, you're no good to anybody. If you can't carry a ram, you can't hit a door after you're walking up 3 flights of stairs, you're not good on the team. You can't do sit-ups, you can't do, push-ups, and even pull-ups. Pull-ups is a good measure. You don't have to do a million of them, but it's just a good way to check where you're at. But it's just one of those things where I don't need you to be a stud. I just need you to be able to pass the standard.
Sure. Wrapping up towards the end of this podcast is a couple of things that we're asking everyone on this show. And it's kind of going to give listeners an idea of the guys who are out there doing the job, what they're carrying every day. So what is in your current EDC?
My current EDC, I've got a Gen 3 Glock 19 with X300, the U, and with an RMR 07.
Cool.
And with a spare mag in a tier 1 concealed holster. And I've just recently started carrying a tourniquet as well too with the rig.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that coming from the medical background that I'm from. And I'm sure your wife can relate to that also. The importance of being able to plug holes as much as make them.
Yep.
So awesome. Now, what are your personal goals? What are your goals for Eagle Head Training Group going into this year and the future?
Goals. So obviously I want to put information out. There's stuff that, it's not just me, but I work with a lot of other, great dudes, not just in the agency, but, with Holistic Solution Group, guys over in Lone Star Armory, dudes over in Light Horse and Paratus 46. Those guys, it's a huge network of dudes that I know that are putting out great information. And my goal is to get us all together and get us all on the same page and hopefully be able to put courses on together and, just spread the good word. And just being able to get out there and as far as teaching is, making it affordable for guys like me. I know for my company, if you're an officer in the agency and you want to attend training, it's free for you. You just got to bring ammo and you got to bring your own equipment. So if you're a coworker or whatever it may be, or if somebody on the agency that wants training, it's free. And the reason I say that is because on our last carbine course I put on, second last carbine course I put on, we were talking to dudes and I was telling them, hey, thank you for coming out. Thank you for, putting, value in training and whatnot, because you'll never know when you'll see you on the road for an active shooter and whatnot. And that week we got called out for an incident that happened at an old folks home. And as we're clearing the hallways and the rooms, I'm looking over my shoulder and I saw one of my student that was there at the last carbon course. You know, it's just one of those things like, all right, now, yeah. So it's you know, if you're on the agency with me, you know, you're getting trained, and if I can't put it on through the county or the agency or the department, you know, I'm gonna find a way to bring it to you. You know.
Wow,
But
that's
yeah,
incredible.
just, you know, man, it's all about giving back. You know, a lot of the stuff I was taught through the job and whatnot, and it's, you know, I want to put the information out there because it's not about the money, but it's about just saving people's lives. And as cliche as that sounds, it's, you know, you remember why you started. You know, this wasn't for fame or for fortune. This was to put the good word out there, and for the guild, you know, for the dudes that are towing the line, dudes and dudettes that are towing the line every day. You know, I just want to give back as much as I can.
No, it's noble of you. It is, because a lot of people in the industry, you know, it's important information, but they want to make they want to make it not proprietary, but they want to make it such that you have to go to them for the information. So it's good to hear that you and other guys that you know are making sure that the information is getting out there solely because it's important to get it out there.
Yep, I know for a fact. You know, a buddy of mine, Jersey, owns Griffin Tactical Solutions. You know, he's on Instagram too. I mean, he's got the same mentality. He wants to teach. He wants to put the information out there, and he wants to help, you know, dudes. He wants to help, you know, folks. He's like a really family-oriented dude. He wants to make sure officers, security guards, you know, regular armed citizens make it home to their families every night. And he'll tell you right off the bat.
Yeah, Taz is a good dude. I'm hoping to get him on on an episode also.
Yep, he's solid, man. You know, but
so one of the places to then get your information is social media, and something you're doing on social media also is a dry fire challenge. You talk about this dry fire challenge a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, we do it, you know, at least we try to do it every day, but you're kind of having a structured dry fire, like, all right, you know, finding where your deficiencies are. And it doesn't just have to be dry fire. You know, it doesn't have to be with your gun. It could be dry fire with tourniquet application, right? And you're a big medical guy. It could be dry fire and like, hey, let's pull my long gun out of my EDC bag, or dry fire with, hey, you know, I'll tell my daughter, it's like, hey, you know, I've got a gunshot wound to the lower extremity. What do you do now? You know, just dry fire is kind of I don't know what the word for it, but it's to get just the reps in. It doesn't matter. It's firearms, medical training, whatever it may be. So, but yeah, we've been doing it. I think it's 90. I don't know what, I gotta look, but you know, I was recording it every day, and then I was looking back at the stories, and it was the same old stuff, and people are just getting bored. So I'll put like little highlights in here and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, so far so good, man. I definitely noticed an improved from drawing from concealed. That's something I definitely don't do, you know, because whenever I'm carrying a gun, it's out and about. So, but I'm also carrying a gun concealed when I'm off duty.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think it is really important, and I'm definitely guilty of not doing nearly enough dry fire. But the dry fire is kind of where the real work happens. If you wait for every chance you get to the range, you just don't have enough time squeezing that trigger and deploying your weapon. So
yeah, especially with the cost of ammo, man. That's I don't like. I know just on when I ordered ammo for the company, it would just backlogged like a year. So, but there's some sources like the CERT pistols are pretty good. The Mantis Blackbeard.
My buddy Frank just picked up a Mantis for his AR, and he says he loves it.
Yep, that's a pretty good Stuff and Pews, man. He's on Instagram as well too. He had turned me on to that, and that's pretty dope system. But
have you seen the dry fire mag at all? I remember I got my hands on one at SHOT Show in 2020, and that thing was pretty cool. Oh yeah, look at that! You got one right there.
Yeah. Yep, so, Sam. Yep, go ahead.
No. That's awesome that you got it right there.
Yeah. So Sam, he had dry fire mag is coming out with a laser module add-on or system for their dry fire stuff. So I'm actually pretty excited to get my hands on that. So if you're listening to Dry Fire Mag, you know, let's work something out.
Absolutely, shameless plug. And what's cool about the Dry Fire Mag for people that are listening and can't see what you're showing on the video, it's a magazine that allows you to not have to rack your slide every single time. It resets automatically.
Yep, and the reason I went with the Dry Fire Mag was So I do BJJ with the guys over at Visiblue, and he had pointed out, being the good dude he is, like, hey man, one deficiency I'm noticing whenever you're doing dry fire is you go present, go quick, and then you immediately start racking the gun back, and that's just a training scar. And he recommended the dry fire mag, and I definitely that night I ordered it, and then a couple days later I got it in the mail. So it's definitely,
it's awesome. It's a great tool.
Yeah.
When I met them in SHOT Show, when I met the designer, he actually, something I mentioned to him kind of jokingly, I was like, the area I come from, there's about 40,000 officers from different agencies combined that are all stuck with this 12-pound trigger. And he said, yeah, we already have you guys covered. And he handed me a magazine labeled 12. And I was like, oh,
dude, that's awesome.
He already was ahead of me on that. I thought I was going to throw him a little, make him take a step back, and he was prepared for that already. So it's good to hear that he's thinking about that. Lastly, let the listeners know where they can find you if they want to reach out to you, whether it's online, they want to come take a class in person. How do they get a hold of you?
So I am on Instagram. Hold on, dude. I'm not very good at social media, so I got to remember my handle. So social media for Instagram _eaglehead.training.group _ that's the Instagram, and my profile picture looks like a dude in night vision breakdancing. Best description for it. Yeah. And then I'm on Twitter, but I'm not on there very often, but it's at Eaglehead LLC. And then Facebook, I guess just type the name in, Eaglehead Training Group, and I think you'll see two dudes in night vision, because I like to play like that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I'll make sure to tag everything when this goes live. I'll put it up on the Instagram page so that everybody can find you. What about the website where they can go ahead and sign up for classes?
Oh yeah, eagleheadtraininggroup.com.
Eagleheadtraininggroup.com. Awesome.
Yep, eagleheadtraininggroup.com.
Great. Well, Eljay, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Dude,
I hope we
awesome,
can have
man.
you back in the future to talk about where the company's at, where you're at, and new projects that are up and coming. Any last words you have of advice for people listening, thinking about possibly coming to one of your courses or one of the courses that you've been to? Maybe they're guys hoping to join a team.
Man, that's something I really didn't think about, parting words, but, remember why you started, especially being on the LE side. I know there's a lot of hate for us right now, but, it's not about you. Just continue to train, continue to watch your throw back, and hopefully I'll see you guys out there, and don't eat the yellow snow.
Eljay, that was awesome. Thank you for being on the show. Take care.
All right, man. Be good. Be safe.
You too.
You're listening to the Ricochet Report.
That is all the time we have for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed the show. And if you do enjoy the show, go ahead and share this with everyone you know. The only way we can continue to grow the show and get more great guests for this show is for the popularity to grow. And that's where we need you guys to help. So please go ahead and share this podcast, right? Let people know that it's available on their favorite podcast platform, whether that's Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, going directly to the website, or some of the other apps that are out there. You can also listen to the podcast on YouTube, where we're uploading the full episodes right there on our YouTube channel, The Ricochet Report. So you can go find that there. And on the YouTube channel, there's some other stuff that you can watch, some content we're putting out from shooting competitions. We're going to be doing gear reviews, and we're also going to be putting up some drills that we like to do to get better for all different types of shooting purposes. So go ahead and subscribe, turn on post notifications on YouTube so you can listen and stay up to date on what's going on there. You can support us on Facebook, and you can do it on Instagram too. And the cool thing is, if you go to Instagram, there's a link tree in the bio, and there it'll have all the different places you want to go ahead and follow us. So it'll have the Facebook there, it'll have our website, it'll have the YouTube, and it'll have the option to buy me a coffee. Believe it or not, these episodes, this one especially, they're done at weird times, right? I have to work with other people, guests from different places, and then we're working around both of our schedules too. And with our line of work, sometimes things get out of whack. So we're recording these episodes at awkward times, and the only thing that helps me stay awake is a good cup of coffee. And you can go buy me a cup of coffee. If you go to the link tree, it'll show you exactly how you can do that. And it's a great way to support me and support the show. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Until next time, keep training, stay safe.